What's up, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. We have a lot to talk about today. A's rookie Shintaro Fujinami made some history in the worst way possible. We have an update on Aaron Judge. Also, we're going to talk about Mookie Betts and the fact that he has extra dad strength now. We'll show that in just a moment. Also, a little rematch of the 2022 World Series happened. We had the Phillies and the Astros facing off. Remember, everyone, if you're going to any baseball games, concerts, anything like that anytime soon, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save yourself 20 bucks off your entire order. And we post these recaps every single day. We talk about every single game, so stick around. Hit that subscribe button. The first game that we're going to talk about from yesterday, the Marlins and the Cubs. Jesus Luzardo and Marcus Stroman, they were battling back and forth all night long. They limited each other's teams to just 2 runs. They both allowed the second to score later in the 7th inning, but honestly, it was a fun matchup because they're so different. Jesus is the young, hard-throwing lefty, whereas Marcus Stroman is the crafty, veteran right-handed pitcher. You saw Gene Segura tied up at 2 runs apiece in the 7th, and it stayed that way going into the 9th. Gene, he can come up clutch yet again, and of course he does. I don't know if the Cubs are starting to hit their wall, or maybe they just really miss Cody Bellinger, because ever since he's been out, the Cubs haven't been playing their best baseball since that happened. They dropped to 5-5 over their last 10 games, and same for Miami, but they have now won 2 games in a row. The Rays and the White Sox, Andrew Vaughn has been a super solid bat over the last 2 seasons. Over his last 160 games, he has 37 doubles, 19 home runs, and an almost 110 OPS plus. Also, shout out to Jake Berger. He has been a flat-out demon. That's his 7th home run of the season. He is leading baseball in exit velocity, and he's top 1% in barrel percentage, so that is really good. That was all Chicago was able to squeeze out of Zach Eflin, and luckily for Zach, Manuel Margot, he tied it up in the 4th inning. Eflin, he struck out 5 over 5, while Lucas Giolito, he continues to show that he's on the right track. 6 strikeouts over 6 2/3. He has a 2.75 ERA over his last 20-ish innings pitched. This one came down to the 9th as well, just like the last game, where Isaac Paredes, he cleared everything on his 4th home run of the year. He has 24 home runs over his last 135 games played, so the power is legit. And some guy named Kevin Kelly, he got the save after Pete Fairbanks, he left with a reoccurring issue caused by a syndrome called Raynaud's syndrome. It's where basically the blood flow just does not go to his fingers, so he goes numb and he can't grip a baseball. It's actually kind of sad, and I'm hoping that he finds a solution. Then again, it is a syndrome, so maybe there isn't a solution. Either way, if you're a White Sox fan, my heart goes out to you, because that is 9 consecutive losses in a row. St. Louis faced off against the Dodgers, and here's a scary sentence. Mookie Betts, he has extra dash strength now because he and his wife Brianna welcomed their 2nd child just yesterday. Mookie Betts now has 4 home runs on the year, and there's another guy with even more dash strength. Max Muncy grabbed the lead with a double. Just like Mookie Betts, he and his wife welcomed a brand new child this week. By the way, Cody Bellinger, the former Dodger, the reason why he's not playing for the Cubs is because he's also on paternity leave, and same with Evan Phillips, the closer of the Dodgers. What does all of this line up with? The 2022 LA All-Star break. So, I mean, I'm not really trying to say anything, but there were some Dodgers players getting freaky. Okay, anyways, weird. Back to the action. Jason Hayward, he laced an RBI double to score Max Muncy. All of this was for Dustin May, who was decent at best. He only allowed 2 earned runs, but he walked 4, so he's got to get that command in check. Rookie Miguel Vargas connected on a 2-run home run in the 7th. The Dodgers win easy 7-3. Now, I do want to mention that Paul Goldschmidt, he made some history as well in the 5th inning. That was his 150th career stolen base, making him the 2nd first baseman ever after Jeff Bagwell to have 300 home runs and 150 stolen bases as a first baseman. Goldie, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in the making. The Twins and the Royals, for the 2nd night in a row, Minnesota tagged Kansas City starter for a fat 7 spot. Max Kepler now has 3 home runs and a 112 OPS plus. Michael A. Taylor brought home his first of 2 RBIs on a bases loaded walk, and then came the 2nd RBI on a bunt double. That's the first bunt double in a few years. Just unfortunately, another embarrassing performance from the Royals. Jorge Polanco has been him to begin the season ever since he came off the IL. He's basically hitting 370 with 6 extra base hits, 9 RBIs after that 3-run home run. Miranda hit one in the 5th, so Minnesota actually ended up with 8 runs, and good thing they did, because Pablo Lopez was awful again. He was in the conversation for one of the best starting pitchers in baseball, but now he's allowed 11 runs on 16 hits over his last 10 innings pitched, so he's got to get back on track. But a great sign, if Pablo Lopez can get torched and the Minnesota Twins still win, that means that they're a good team. So in the intro, I talked about how we had a World Series matchup. We'll talk about the Phillies and the Astros in just a moment, but we had a wild card matchup, the Jays versus the Mariners. Again, they played each other last year. It was an epic game, if you ask me. That home run probably brought back some bad memories. That was alliteration, so many B's. Anyways, yeah, Cal Raleigh hit another one versus Toronto, but Alejandro Kirk, he stepped up and tied it in the very next frame. Seattle, they were able to get Cal up again in the next inning. He knocked in his second RBI versus Alek Manoah, and yet again, the Jays immediately respond. Matt Chapman hit one over J-Rod's head, and Vladdy, he was flying around the bases, even with a perfect relay from J-Rod to the infielder to home. I mean, Colton Wong kind of threw a noodle throw, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. head first. I wanted to run through a brick wall after seeing Vladdy motor around the bases. Luis Castillo, he wasn't his best self, but he only allowed 2 earned runs over 5. Manoah also gave up 2, but he struck out 7 along the way. George Springer had an RBI single in the bottom of the 6th, and that was pretty much the game, because check out these stats. Every single Toronto relief pitcher threw 1 inning with 2 strikeouts, and none of them allowed a single base hit. So that's 4 no-hit innings with 8 strikeouts over the final 4 frames. Jordan Romano now has 9 saves on the season, as the Mariners, they have lost 3 games in a row. The Braves and the Mets, Ronald Acuna Jr. is a true superstar of the highest order. There's another RBI base hit. He's hitting .352, and he's leading baseball in both base hits, runs, and F-WAR. Max Fried, he was frying folks all night long. He went 4 scoreless, while Matt Olson added to the lead with an absolute no-doubt 3-run home run. That ball almost went 440 feet. He made it 4-0 for Max Fried, as Max Fried went back out for another frame, and he had one of his better starts ever, at least it would have been had this game not ended because of the weather. He had 7 strikeouts over 5 shutout. He probably could have gone more, but again, the baseball gods and Mother Nature had other plans in mind. They paused the game in the 5th, and they just simply ended it. The game did not resume. They called it a quits, so the Mets, they take a hard L. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Willy Adames kickstarted this next game versus the Angels with a solo shot in the 1st inning, his 5th home run of the season. By the way, he has 35 doubles and 36 home runs over his last 165 games. That is nuts for a middle infielder. Gio Urshela had a big 3-hit night. That one right there tied it right back up for Tyler Anderson, who was very good. But then again, both starting pitchers were very good. In fact, Anderson, he struck out 7 with 1 earned run, while Wade Miley, he lowered his season ERA to 1.86 after another amazing start. He went 6 innings, 1 earned run, no walks. This game was going to be decided by the bullpen, and Rowdy Tellez, he wanted to go home. That RBI single gave Devin Williams the lead, and we all know how nasty Devin is. He had an easy 1-2-3 ninth for his 4th save. The Milwaukee Brewers on a little bit of a win streak after struggling a bit. They win 2 games in a row. Speaking of win streaks, Philadelphia is trying to go for their 3rd win in a row, but this one was a bit more personal. I really wish that Bryce Harper was healthy, because we had a rematch of the 2022 World Series. Kyle Schwarber and Jeremy Pena, they both traded home runs in the 1st inning. Schwarber has 6 home runs. Pena, he's kind of heating up. He has 5 home runs. Aaron Nola and Framber Valdez, they both locked in for the next few innings. When the newcomer, Christian Pache, he broke the tie in the 5th inning. Christian Pache is hitting .360 with 4 extra base hits while playing his usual unreal defense. The Phillies have become just as good as the Rays and the Dodgers at fixing talented players who have been struggling. They can't seem to figure it out, and it just seems like they're doing it again with Pache. They already did it with Brandon Marsh. That RBI single in the 7th ups his batting average to .346. Aaron Nola, he was finally prime Aaron Nola versus the Astros. 6 strikeouts over 8 innings. He only allowed 3 base hits the entire day, and he didn't walk anyone. Jose Alvarado came in for the save. He struck out 2 more hitters. He got his 5th save of the year. That's got to feel good for him after, you know. Moving on to another team that once blew a lead in the World Series, my team. See, I can be fair and unbiased. Josh Bell is making me and other Guardians fans very, very happy as of late. He continues to put the ball in play and drive in runs. He's hitting .310 with 7 RBIs over the last 2 weeks. And do my eyes deceive me? Is that Miles Straw driving in an RBI? He has a 67 OPS plus over his last 180 games, but he has 28 stolen bases, and he saved 15 runs defensively. So I guess you have to take the good with the bad. Mike Zunino, same thing. The offseason surgery worked. He has been an absolute machine offensively with 9 extra base hits and a 147 OPS plus, but he's kind of been the opposite of Miles Straw. Mike Zunino has been one of the worst defensive catchers I've ever seen. He has a -7 DRS already. Shane Bieber, he did Shane Bieber things, throwing 7 strong with a few strikeouts, but it's crazy how much his strikeout stuff has declined after the sticky stuff was banned. In his first 500 innings, he had an 11.3 strikeouts per 9. Since they banned the sticky stuff, he has an 8.5 strikeouts per 9, but still, he's crafty enough to get some good results. Will Brennan had his first home run of the year. That gave Emmanuel Clase a bit more room to work with, and Clase, he converted his 9th save of the year, but check out this insane stat that I found. Clase, he is having a strange but effective season. Last year, he threw 100 plus miles an hour 195 times. This year, he has not thrown a single pitch at 100 miles an hour. I don't know why that's happening, but it's happening. Cleveland is back to 500. They're 13-13. The Diamondbacks nearly scored 10 runs in this one versus the Rockies, and they did so in a pretty funny fashion. We'll get into that in just a moment. Got to show off the first run from Ketel Marte. That was his 3rd of the year, but since last year, over his last 162 games, he has 49 doubles. So even though he's been struggling with the home run pop, he is still an extra base god. Merrill Kelly, he turned in his best start since 2022. He was ducking and weaving all night long. He allowed 1 run to score, but he struck out 5 over 6 frames. And this is where it gets funny because Arizona, they're up 4-1 when Josh Rojas, who rakes, by the way, Josh Rojas, one of the most underrated hitters in baseball, he rips a double to score 2 runs, but look how close they were. You have Corbin Carroll right behind Perdomo's back. That's how fast Corbin Carroll is. He and Bobby Witt Jr. are kind of tied right now as the fastest players in baseball. Again, Arizona, they barely miss out on double-digit scoring after Gurriel Jr. and Walker. They have some RBI singles. They win big 9-1 over the Rockies. So this next one, this is kind of a head scratcher. I don't know what the Yankees were doing or thinking, but this felt like one of the biggest punt games in quite some time. Clark Schmidt, he just ain't it. He is literal batting practice for lefties, and even when he's facing righties, he's not very good either. He had RBI doubles to Marcus Semien and Jonah Heim, and then there's another lefty, or at least a switch hitter, who is hitting lefty. Robbie, he goes yard. Clark is literally trying to figure out how to pitch to lefties live in a game that actually matters. I don't know why that's happening. He should be sent down and figure that out when a game doesn't really matter. Anyways, Jacob deGrom had a near perfect game through the first few innings, and in the blink of an eye, the perfect game was gone because he walked someone. Then there was a base hit, and then the chance at a W was taken away as well because he had to leave the game with another injury. That is multiple starts this year where he is cooking people to begin the game, but he has to leave early. This time it was due to forearm tightness. He was taken out for precautionary reasons. Hopefully he's all good, but it just sucks for us baseball fans because we're being robbed of one of the greatest pitching talents that we've ever seen. New York, they put a few on the board against Dane Dunning, but Texas, they held on strong as Will Smith, he converted his 3rd save of the year. Yeah, the Yankees, they need back their best player, Aaron Judge, and fast. They've lost Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Carlos Rodon, Luis Severino. I mean, it just stacks up for the Yankees injuries. I kind of feel bad. But an update on Aaron Judge. Aaron Boone said that it could be a situation where he goes on the IL, but also they're not too concerned.
Do you expect this to be an IL stint for him?
I don't know yet. I don't know. It seems like it could be day to day, but it also could be a short stint. We'll have to see it when Dr. Ahmad weighs in and kind of see where we're at tomorrow with it.
The Oakland A's pitching staff has to be the worst staff ever assembled, and I truly mean that. That is not me being dramatic or hyperbolic. They gave up 11 more runs in this one. Nick Senzel and Jose Barrero, they combined for 3 runs in the first, and it quickly became 5 runs after Jake Fraley sent one 420 feet for a 2-run blast. Fraley has 14 home runs, 7 stolen bases, and an almost 350 on base percentage over his last 92 games, so he's actually becoming a fairly good baseball player. Cincinnati, they opened the floodgates later on, starting with a Nick Senzel 2 RBI double, and then yeah, I guess Shintaro Fujinami is no longer going to be a starter. He came in and he wet the bed. He's now allowed 26 earned runs in his first 18 innings, which means he has a 13 ERA and a negative 1.1 WAR. He is one of 3 pitchers ever to allow 26 earned runs in his first 6 games as a Major League Baseball player. The A's pitching staff as a whole have an 8.05 ERA. Throw them away. Do not go anywhere. We're going to go ahead and roll the web gems in just a second, but that does it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe. We post these every single day. And without further ado, let's roll the web gems.
To right, Castellanos to the wall. And he brought it back in.
High fly ball back into left. The Rosarena at the wall. Will he have room? home. He leaps. And a sigh of relief and a smile on the face of Colin Poche.
Bobby Witt Jr. gloves it and throws in time.
Far. I mean, that's way too far. But you know, he's so quick with the release. Look at Prado.
To the left side, Adames pops up, fires to first, got him! What a play by Willie. Arenado with a slicing liner to right. Hayward, a good job, dives and makes the catch.
Noda, a long run near the mound. Be careful. And he caught it.